after you get clients, then you get to really, then now you have room, right? You know the kind of dough that you're using, you know the kind of pizza that you're offering, you've got the right people on your team, you've got clients, you know your process, and now we get to do fun stuff like automate and use tech and use data to make hacks and make your practice even better. Now, have you ever tried pizza before with toppings that you hated? Yeah, you have? Did you like the pizza? No. So, one of the things that I think we often do is we will see a really cool technology, we'll try to implement it in our law firm, and then we'll write our processes around the technology. How many of us have tried that? I tried that. And that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to figure out how you want something done, and then find technology that makes it easier to do it. One of the ways we did this was with Trello. So this is Trello. How many people have used Trello before? Cool. Trello's cool. John Grant is a big agile guy, and I was working with him and trying to figure out processes and workflows and project management for cases. Because one of the ways that we can communicate proactively with our clients is by knowing what's happening next and not being in reactive mode. Many of us wait to deal with things that need to be dealt with when we get an email or when we get a document in the door, as opposed to knowing what we're doing with our cases. So, what we did with Trello was we took every Friday morning for a little while, for about 3 months, we had a meeting every Friday morning. And we took a wall and we put each case name on sticky notes in columns. The onboarding column, the pre-trial conferences column, we call this phase 2, which is like mediation, discovery, third-party experts, trial prep, and trial, And we took each client that we had, we put them on a different color sticky note that corresponded with the attorney that was working on their case, and then had a little checklist in each phase. And you got to move the cards along the wall to move your cases forward. And that's how we learned project management, because none of us have been taught project management. It's not that hard, but at the same time, it's not something that we've been taught. It's not something that's ever been talked about. And once we got the concept and we got it physically and it worked for us and we perfected what we wanted to have on our checklist for the different phases, then we started using Trello. We're going to walk through intake, sales leads, and what happens when you make tweaks and what that does to your bottom line. So here's what we track in terms of sales key performance indicators. Leads, how many of them schedule, how many of them attend, how many of them become clients, how many new clients are we getting each month, what is the average client spend, and therefore, how much monthly revenue are we bringing in? Here's the baseline. 100 leads, 50 of them schedule, 30 initial consultations happen a month, our conversion rate is 50%, so we're getting 15 new clients a month. We know that the average spend is $6,500, and so our baseline monthly revenue is roughly $100,000, okay? So at the beginning of 2018, I started really focusing on tweaking intake. Worked with an outside team to take over intake and really study these numbers and try different things and really figure out how to impact these numbers. And what happened when I brought in this outside team is now I wasn't spending any more money on marketing, but the number of leads stayed the same, but the number of people that were scheduling was now up to 65. And 45 people were showing up. Now, we left our conversion rate exactly the same. That meant I was now getting 22 new clients a month. I kept the average client spend exactly the same. That didn't change. But now, my monthly revenue was almost $150,000, only by changing intake. This is monthly revenue. But I stopped doing consultations, and none of these numbers always stay the same. And when I stopped doing consultations, our conversion rate dropped. So we had 100 leads, we had 65 people scheduled, 45 people showed up for ICs, but our conversion rate dropped from 50 to 40. Doesn't sound like a big deal, right? Well, instead of having 22 new clients, we were only getting 18 new clients, which meant our monthly revenue was down at $117,000. Because we track it, we knew this had fallen. We knew this was an issue. So we decided to do a workshop. And we did a workshop where, for a couple hours, we went through everything that I talked about before about how I think that we should do consultations. What's our greeting look like? How is someone greeted when they come in? I want them greeted by name. I want you to smile. I want my receptionist to find something they like to compliment them on, because it's the nice thing to do, and this is how humans work. I want you to offer them something and to give them something, because when someone receives a gift, it impacts the way they feel, and it makes them more likely to like you and then buy from you. And it's too easy. Give them something. Just give them a hot drink. And then we walked through role playing and listening. And this was kind of cool because I had done a podcast on Lawyerist on Intake, and I talked about how important it is to listen to your clients and stop talking, and how your clients think you're smarter the less you say. It's pretty crazy, but it's true. And I was talking to one very experienced lawyer who was like, I don't know, Billy, that might work for you, but I don't know. I tried that, and it didn't work. So, and I get it, you know, but then we role played, and she had a character of a client, and another lawyer was being the lawyer, and the lawyer was explaining lots of good information, and I watched the fake lawyer in the role play. We're gonna call her Jane. Jane was explaining, and Jill was listening, and I watched Jill's eyes kind of glaze over as Jane was talking about dividing property, and I stopped her and I was like, well, how did that make you feel? And she was like, I guess I feel talked at. And it was one of these aha moments. And so each of us going through this workshop and role playing was crazy positive. Everybody walked out like we had learned something. This was a sales skill that we'd never had, that we don't get to practice. But here's what's really cool. Our conversion rate went to 76%, which meant that our 65 scheduled and 45 consultations ended up with 34 new clients. If you don't change the average client spend, our revenue now is over $200,000. And so in the midst of experimenting for a few months on intake, revenue doubled. That's why data matters. That's why we have key performance indicators. That's why we live and breathe data, and we are accountable to one another. Now, if you don't know these numbers, you don't know when to hire. I know every time I'm getting 5 new clients a month, I need a new lawyer. I know, based on how many lawyers I have, how many clients I need to be getting, because I know these numbers. I know the capacity of the lawyers. I know the average client spend, which is not an easy number to find. We have to dig through Clio to get that. It's there, but it's not easy to get. But it will predict your growth.